Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Judging 101, Nuts and Bolts from Behind the Tiny Lamp. My name is Damon Brown, and today's session or tutorial is going to be on evaluating and judging the category of professionalism. Just a tiny bit about me. If you are just watching this video first in the series and you haven't seen the rest of the series, I am a choreographer, show designer, songwriter, clinician, and charity advocate from Moreno Valley, California. I've been in the business of show choir for the past 4 decades. I began when I was a junior in high school, choreographing for my show choir at Yorktown High School in Yorktown, Indiana, called Swing Incorporated. And we thought we were the absolute bomb.com. And when I got out of high school, I started choreographing for schools in East Central Indiana, and little by little started doing it on a national scale. And now I've been doing it for 4 decades, have taught over 75,000 students. I am the founder of In-to-House virtual show choir camps. I am also the founder of Show Choirs for Thirst, which is a part of Thirst Project, which has raised, Show Choirs for Thirst have raised about $400,000 since 2017 to help end the global water crisis by providing wells and clean water for a lifetime for people in the African nations of Eswatini, Kenya, Uganda, and the Central American nation of El Salvador. We are the power of show choir to change the world. And I've been a choreographer for a long time. I've judged probably over 150 show choir competitions over that time, have been very blessed to be asked to be a judge at each and every one of them. And I put this series together with the help of a whole hall of fame of show choir who's who in the history of the show choir world, to train judges that are new to the world of show choir, to give maybe refresher courses or new perspectives to experienced judges that have been judging a long time, to peel back the curtain and let people that are fans of show choir and students of show choir and alums of show choir, as well as directors, get an idea of what judges are looking for when they evaluate, critique, score, and rank pretty much every conceivable category on a score sheet. We have just a couple more videos left in the series, and then we will put together a library of them that will be on my website and also will be available in a couple other places that I'll advertise. But it's something that I am so grateful to all of the experts that have given their time and just put together amazing tutorials. But enough about that. Let's talk about professionalism. Okay, so I would define the category of professionalism kind of as the way you conduct yourself on stage, not only during a show, but as we see you preparing to take the stage, as you're taking the stage, at any point during the show, and as you are leaving and tearing down the stage. Professionalism is a measure of, in many ways, your level of not only preparedness, but of decorum, and in my opinion, I would say maybe respect for the art and discipline. All right? So I've broken it down into kind of 13 different things that we're going to talk briefly about each one today. And so I'm just going to jump right in. But before I do, let me just say every video in this series, including the 3 that I've done, are just one person's opinion on a topic. However, they are one person's opinion who has been doing this for decades. And so it is absolutely okay if there are points that any of us make on the videos that you disagree with or hold a different opinion. but they are all well thought out points that you can take or leave, but they are all points that have been time tested and have proven successful in evaluating over time. So with that, away we go. Number one, professionalism on the setup. Okay, when you're taking the stage, even before your show starts, you're being judged. All right, and so we are judging things like noise. How loud are you being as you set up? We are judging your organization. Does it look like you have practiced this a lot? We are looking to see, are people panicking? Are people arguing? And is there a general lack of preparation? Wait, where are the hats? Wait, where's the costume change? Wait, this went over here. Now we got to run it back over here. So keep in mind that as you are evaluating and judging, the first thing you evaluate and you judge is the setup, because the setup is part of the show. All right? Second, the walk-on. You, in many cases, will do your setup, and then students will be on the sides. Not always. Sometimes they're already on the stage, and that's fine. No, there's not a right and a wrong way to do it. It's just two different ways to do it. But let's just assume, for the sake of today's workshop, that the group has set up, and then they went to the sides, and now they're standing on the sides waiting to come on. And the announcer says, and ladies and gentlemen, with 40 singer-dancers, a band of 9, a crew of 8, they will be presenting their salute to Broadway. Please welcome from such and such high school, their show choir. And now we go, and the moms and dads scream. More about that later. And now you walk on. Okay? The first thing I want to see is, are you disciplined when you walk on? Secondly, do you have a purpose in your walking on, aside from we have to get over there now because the show starts over there and I have to go stand on the 8 on the number line? All right? Number lines are a good thing, by the way. Do you take the stage in a way that is appropriate to your show? We're going to do a 60s show, so we walk on like hippies, man. We're going to do a show about old gangsters, and so we walk on and we're being tough. We're going to do a show about circus performers, so somebody walks on juggling, and another person enters on a unicycle, and another person walks on like they're walking on the high wire, and another person walks on like they're a clown. Are you snobs? Is it a show about the aristocracy? And so you walk on, like we are the best. So if you have a themed show, you should walk on as the characters in your show. That is part of your professionalism. If you don't have a themed show, and as Tori Brendis geniusly said in her tutorial, you're doing a show that is 5-song roulette, which I'm totally stealing that line from Tori Brendis. And you're doing a show that really doesn't have a theme, do you at least walk on with purpose and smiles? And that looks great. That's professionalism. All right. So now you've set up and now you've walked on. Number 3, we judge your reaction to the unplanned. All right. Screaming, crying babies. How do you react? Microphone feedback. Somebody walks up to the mic and how do you react? Shouts from the audience that might be sometimes done at really inappropriate times, like you're going into your soft ballad and somebody who just doesn't understand decorum, in the middle of your soft ballad about somebody dying, screams, "You guys rock!" All right. Don't think I haven't seen that happen way too many times over the years. How do you handle that? Do you start laughing? Do you look at them? Do you get freaked out by that, scared? Or do you just go on? That is your professionalism. What if the song or the sound goes out? How do you react? What if somebody falls down? It happens. It's happened to me before. I was helping Anderson High School set up for a show at the Bluffton Street Fair about 35 years ago. And the stage was slippery because it was an outdoor venue and it had rained. And they had dried the stage, but there was still some moisture. My feet slipped out from under me. I fell and I cracked my chin on a riser. I gave myself a concussion. What happens if you fall down? What happens if somebody gets injured? Now, in my event, in my case, it was during the setup and somebody just saw that I was kind of staggering around a little bit with blood dripping down my chin onto my bright yellow tie, which I never wore again. And so somebody came and helped me, and no judges thought anything about that. They were just worried because the floor was slippery. But if that happens during a show, how do you handle it? All right. So reaction to the unplanned. Number 4, bumper cars. Bumper cars. Bumper cars is a term that I use for things on stage that look hectic and unplanned in a bad way. Now, hectic in a good way would be we're doing a show and there's a fire in the show and everybody freaks out, or there's somebody is scared in the show and they freak out and they run away. But bumper cars happen when we have a transition or a traffic change that has not been thought through very carefully, and people literally are running into each other, scurrying around, arriving late to positions, and the traffic flow seems more like a jailbreak, a prison escape, than it does something planned. And so we judge the idea of bumper cars. That is partly professionalism and partly transitions. So you see how some things bleed into multiple categories. All right. Your character on the walk-on would be part of your professionalism, but it would also be part of effective opening and closing. And it would also be part of character development and facials. So there's a lot of bleed over. All right. So now we go from number 4, which is bumper cars, into number 5, fidgets and fixes. All right. Every show choir in the world, every director, every choreographer has said, stop scratching your nose. Stop itching your face. Stop wiping your sweat. Stop playing with your costume. If those things happen during a show, they look unprofessional. And they're things that we need to endeavor to not do, not itch our nose, wipe our sweat, adjust our clothing. Don't look away from a conductor if a conductor is, or a director is, directing the ballad. Don't let your eyes wander away. Also, the idea of students having inside jokes. That's a big no-no. If I see 2 students in the middle of especially a ballad or something, look at each other and kind of laugh or whisper something. Those would be things that in terms of professionalism, we would really look down on. All right. Okay. Number 6, how do people recover from mistakes? We're all going to make choreography mistakes. I always tell my students, I am never going to yell at you ever, ever, ever for working hard, trying your hardest, giving it everything you've got, the proverbial 110%, which is a mathematical impossibility, but that's another discussion for statistics class. But I want to see when you mess up, which we all do, and if I was in the show, I would do it too. We all want to see, how do you handle it? Don't fix the mistake after the fact. Own the mistake. If everybody goes down and somebody goes up, well, as judges, we want to see that person just own that move and then go on with the next thing that they do. We don't want to see them go and then try to fix it. All right. So that's advice to directors to tell your students, but also to judges in how you evaluate. Allow people to make mistakes. It's okay that they made a mistake. It's okay that they missed that move. It's okay. Don't, like, as judges, we should not get our panties in a wad every time there is a choreographic mistake. Now, if it happens time after time after time after time, yes, then that starts to detract from choreographic precision, from overall show effect. Okay, perhaps, depending on the errors, from professionalism, or if people make the mistakes and they get facial things going on, then it might affect that. All right, but we need people, when they make mistakes, don't worry about fixing it, own it, and don't let it be like the old Lemony Snicket book, the beginning of a series of unfortunate events. All right. Encourage your students to not worry about a mistake. Try to get it right the next time. Try to fix it before the next show, but to not be freaked out when they make a mistake. This judge, I ain't worried about that little mistake they made, unless it snowballs into a series of unfortunate events. So professionalism dictates that when we make mistakes, we don't show it and we just move on with it. And that is professionalism. Next, number 7, soloists. Soloists. All right, soloists, microphone technique. Let me find a microphone here, okay, in my china cabinet. Okay, here is my Mickey Mouse salt shaker microphone. All right, so microphone technique. Are you moving the microphone all over the place? Do you forget where to hold it? Or are you consistent in your distance? You need to practice your technique and practice your proximity. That is professionalism. It is also a professionalism issue if students don't know how microphones come out of the stand or how they go back into the stand. That is something they are welcome to practice on the setup before the show starts. If I see students walk up and like take a mic out, put it back in, take the mic out, put it back in, I'm like, cool. That guy or that lady, they're going to be prepared when it's time for their solo. And so I love that. Also, soloists, don't react when you hit a wonky note or you forget a word. It's okay. It's okay. If you sing, whatever, honey, you are my shining star, and you go, honey, you, I don't want to see that, because it's okay. It's one note in an ocean full of notes. If your voice just has a little crack to it, or you sing, are my shining star, and you accidentally sing, were my shining star, and you mess a word up or drop a word, again, it's okay. But in terms of professionalism, if those things cause it to unravel, that becomes a professionalism issue. All right? So, soloists, practice your mic technique, practice taking the mic out and putting it back in the stand, and don't worry about a wonky note or a forgotten word. Okay? Now, number 8, this is advice. This is not something that would affect scoring. All right? Parents can have a positive or a negative impact. Now, again, this is not about scoring. Parents can have a positive or a negative impact. Parents, for a good judge, are never going to make your score higher, and they're never going to make your score lower. I have never heard extra loud cheering and screaming and raised my score. I've never heard silence and lowered my score. My score is my score. But parents can make it difficult sometimes for judges to focus. And so directors, what I would say is educate your parents, have a conversation with them about, yes, go crazy. Yes, cheer like crazy, make your signs, do this during all the solos, all that stuff. But to know the right moments and to not be distracting. Now, I want to be real clear once again, this is not something that affects scoring. It is simply something that can affect our ability to focus on a show as judges. And therefore, it's kind of a professionalism side effect, all right? But again, that isn't about the score itself because the parents are not the performers, all right? Number 9, stage crew. Stage crew. Okay, stage crew. One of the things that stage crews do that I'm just gonna be honest, I crack up anytime I see it. I'm a judge and I'm watching, and there's a crew person over on the side, and they need to get behind the set. They start crawling on their hands and knees to get behind the set. We see you just as well when you're crawling as when you're walking. I would way rather, if you have to do that, you just walk. You just walk. Crawling is way more distracting, and it's actually kind of funny. I'll just be real honest. And so direct your crew that whenever they have business to take care of, we get that, just to be as non-distracting as is possible. Handle your business quickly, professionally, and quietly. Don't leave garbage or costumes or props on the stage. In other words, if people are handing you skirts and you drop a skirt and you leave, that skirt does need to come off because that skirt becomes a little bit of an eyesore for the whole rest of the show if it's not tended to, all right? And then the last thing is the crew should look nice. Now, it can be just black shirts that match with black jeans or black dress pants that match with black shoes that it's not even a big deal to me if the shoes match, but they need to have like their hair looking decent and they need to look groomed. It can be very simple and very basic, but they're on the stage in the show. And so they need to look groomed. All right. Next, instrumentalist behavior. Number 10. Instrumentalists. One of the worst sins, I'll call it, that I see instrumentalists commit in terms of professionalism is having conversations during the show. Like maybe the trumpets and the trombones don't play on the ballad or the first half of the ballad, and I'll have a soloist singing and I'll watch two people laughing and talking to each other. Conversations should never happen in view of the audience at any point in the show for any reason short of, let's say, a medical emergency. All right, somebody's severely injured, you have a conversation. Somebody, like is in severe medical distress, you have a conversation. That's okay. Other than that, there's no excuse for instrumentalists to talk or act disinterested or just kind of fidget around. Now, it's one thing, do you need to adjust your music? Cool, you need to adjust your music stand? Awesome. You need to clean your spit valve discreetly? No problem. You need to put something on your guitar or pick up your mute for your trumpet? Great, groovy, awesome, keen. But make sure, instrumentalists, that you do not detract from the show by your behavior on stage. Do choreography if the instrumentalists have choreography. Otherwise, head down, nose to the grindstone, do your work, and be the awesome part of the show that you and the stage crew are, because shows don't happen without you. You are gold and diamonds, respectively, to the shows, and they don't exist without you. All right. And last things, instrumentalists look nice, match, be well groomed like the crew. We see you. All right. Number 11, the teardown. Notre Dame had a football coach years ago named Lou Holtz, and Lou Holtz was asked one time why his players never celebrated and went crazy and did breakdancing when they scored touchdowns. And he said, simple, when we score a touchdown, I want the audience to see, the crowd to see that it looks like they've been there before, not like they're shocked that they got into the end zone. So during your teardown, don't tell us by the way you act during your teardown whether your show was the best thing you've ever done or the worst thing you've ever done. Don't tell us. Let us have our impression. Just professionally be efficient, be quiet, don't panic. It's our final look at you. Make it slick and calm and on point. All right? The last two things. This is not necessarily something that would affect your score either, but it is professionalism. You need to be a great audience member for other groups. Be a great audience member. Never be rude. Don't trash talk about other groups or to other groups. Don't clap off rhythm to try to get a group off rhythm. I've seen these things happen more times than I would care to admit. It gives the judges a bad impression of your group in general, because chances are you're wearing your group t-shirt that says whatever the name of your school is, or whatever the name of your group is, or your color that we associate with your group. Have fun, but you cheering loudly for other groups is never going to help them beat you, and it's never going to help you beat them. All it's going to do is make you look like a decent person. And that's what we want in show choir. We want tens of thousands of unique, beautiful, kind, compassionate, generous, caring, empathetic, decent human beings that happen to be great singer, dancers, and actors. And then finally, the last thing, directors, your role. Prepare your groups to be professional. Make things, here's advice, make things go wrong in rehearsal sometimes. Maybe make the microphone go off. Make some of the props not come out. Have the instrumentalist play a song too slow or too fast. Create a loud noise off stage to prepare your students to react professionally. Talk to the parents, talk to the students about their conduct. Guys, these are as many things as I can think of about scoring professionalism, about evaluating professionalism, about what professionalism means, and finally, just some advice for students, choreographers, and directors on instilling that sense of professionalism in their groups. I sure hope that this has been helpful to all of you. I'm so happy we have almost 4,000 views of this series. I'm like, holy crap. I'm so thrilled. And forgive this video for going a little long, but I want to be thorough because it's the only professionalism video I will ever make. And so I want to get all the points covered. So this has been Judging 101, Nuts and Bolts from Behind the Tiny Lamp. I'm Damon Brown. If you ever need to reach me, I am Damon, D-A-M-O-N, B at thirstproject.org. Feel free to reach out if you like. God bless. Thank you.